What is up, everybody? How are you doing today? Welcome in to the Fantasy Tap. My name is Michael, and this is John. John, what's up?
Welcome, everybody. I'm excited. We've got football tonight. It's being released on Thursday. There is football tonight.
There is finally. The wait is over. It's here. It is here. It's draft season 2. I mean, oh my gosh, this is the best time of the year, draft season.
Yeah, Christmas comes sometime in August every year, and it comes in the form of fantasy and real football.
Yes, that is the truth. That is the truth. Anyways, happy Thursday, August 5th. Very excited to have y'all. Real quick before we jump into the show, we have our listener league announcement. Dun, dun, and we're going to last year we did a 12-team league. That is our goal again this year. Last year we gave away a Tyreek Hill full-size autographed helmet of Tyreek Hill's. He didn't wear it, but it was signed.
I didn't wear it either while it was at the office or the studio. So there was nothing wrong with it. It was in pristine condition.
And we will be announcing on Twitter what we're giving away this year. I will say we are currently in the running for a Stephon Diggs jersey autographed, as well as a Kyler Murray full-sized helmet that is autographed. So fingers crossed.
Just spoiled the secret.
I know, but I can't. I'm not a good secret keeper, especially when it comes to this.
You're the guy that gives away his Christmas gifts to his wife and girlfriend the day he buys them, huh? Don't even wait till Christmas.
No. I like giving. I like surprises to other people, just not myself. And that's kind of. I mean, it's kind of a surprise to myself to announce what we have. So. But here's how it's going to work. We're going to do it raffle style this year. All you have to do is DM us on Twitter or Instagram. Okay. There's one stipulation. You have to be a subscriber to our YouTube channel. So on IG or Twitter, just screenshot it, show us that you're a subscriber, to our YouTube, and let us know you want to join the, listener league. And then you can get a second raffle ticket, if you will. And that is by joining our Discord. So that's it. That's all you got to do. Subscribe to the YouTube is a must. Get a second raffle entry if you join the Discord. And that link will be in the description of both the podcast and our YouTube videos. It is always there. So very excited for that.
Very, very excited. Make sure you guys check it out. Spread it to your friends. Let's see how many people we can get in there. It was a really fun league last year. Me and Mike actually filled a spot and went with a little bit of a wild team last year, but we're not going to be taking any spots from you this year. So you're going to be able to see how the league goes, and really interested. Last year's winner did get a guest spot appearance on one of the episodes in this offseason, actually a few weeks back. So,
yes.
If you show us what you got, you know your stuff, you can get a spot on here too for an episode when we break down your favorite division.
It's true.
So excited for that as well.
Yes. Also, if you're following us on YouTube, please subscribe, like the video, hit the little bell. And then if you're listening to us via podcast, a rate and review would be great. And again, on YouTube, if you could comment, let us know what you want to see for future videos. We're currently in the middle of a round by round breakdown. John just did round 1. I am releasing round 2 tomorrow. So very excited for that. Also, like we said, in regards to the listener league, join the Discord. Even if you don't want to join the listener league, join the Discord. It's a fun place to hang out, to chat fantasy football. This is the best time. We do have a rate your team channel in there. Post a screenshot of your team. Everybody will let you know what you should do, what they think. And if you're going to the championship, obviously it's a little too early, but hey, we like to have fun in there. So But John, hit us with the news before we jump into our NFC South breakdown.
All right, so one of the biggest pieces of news on the block right now is the fact that Carson Wentz and Quentin Nelson have both suffered a foot injury. Quentin Nelson was actually stepped on in practice. I'm not sure exactly what led to Carson Wentz's injury, but they are going to be sidelined from up to 5 to 12 weeks. Current rumors are that Wentz is on the earlier side of that, but just wait and see. He's out. That's all you need to know. He's not going to be starting the season. Jacob Eason seems to be filling in that number 1 spot with Sam Ehlinger coming in with the number 2s today in practice. But more than likely, the Colts have come out and said that they are not pursuing a veteran quarterback at this time.
What does that do for the wide receivers there? T.Y. Hilton, Michael Pittman, the two obvious. Michael Pittman. Supposed to have a breakout year.
Obviously, the security of them just dissipates. There's no security there. We don't even know what these quarterbacks can do. Jacob Eason was just drafted last season, didn't get any time in the game, didn't show us anything. And then Ehlinger was also just drafted this season. So can't really feel secure with any of those guys. But there is volume to be had anywhere. I personally think that Eason could be decent. He might be able to fill the role and keep T.Y. Hilton and Michael Pittman, just enough going and while keeping that offense rolling. But you're obviously taking a big hit from Wentz being gone.
Yeah, I agree. Honestly, I don't think I'm going to be taking either of them. I don't have their exact. I'm looking for it right now, but I don't have their exact ADP in front of me. But I think it's just. Actually, I do. T.Y. Hilton, wide receiver 66 off the board, ADP of 147. And then Michael Pittman, I can't find Michael Pittman's. Actually, geez, yes, I can. Wide receiver 50, ADP of 99.9. So, he's right behind Darnell Mooney.
Yeah, I wasn't really drafting them unless they fell to me later in the draft, just because I'm not hot on either of them to be big breakout candidates this year. And then T.Y. I think is solid, but you're fine. Not going to be darting for him. I'll find someone with upside at that point. But if you're in a dynasty league and you have them in your rosters, I think that you could still play T.Y. as a second flex if you don't have much more depth. If you're in a situation, he finds some sort of role in that offense. But JT should still look fine.
Yeah, what does it do for the running backs real quick before we move on?
Quickly, I think just takes a ceiling off. You're obviously Quentin Nelson's one of the best offensive linemen in the league and has been for the past couple of years. But the Colts have had one of the best lineman cores in the league for the past few years. So it does take a hit, but I do think he'll still be fine. Sorry, but
okay.
I don't think that it really bugs him too much. It
has
hurt his ADP a lot.
Yeah, it has. He's dropped down to he's still fallen, but he has dropped down below Aaron Jones to ADP of 13.4. So yeah, in my opinion, I think that it, like you said, it does take the ceiling off of Jonathan Taylor. But I do think they're going to run the ball a lot more, especially the first half of the season, which could be good. But I think it kind of gives Marlon Mack a little bit of value. I think he gets more involved because they're going to be running because Jacob Eason is raw. So, but Philly Rivers said something about coming back.
So Philip Rivers said today that, he's got his high school coaching job, but he hasn't fully closed the door on coming back and playing in the NFL. The Colts obviously just played for them last season and would come back pretty nicely if he needed to. But do the Colts want to spend the money on that veteran quarterback? Like I said earlier, there is hope in the building that Wentz is on the earlier side of that 5 to 12 weeks. So maybe they just wait and see. They did spend 2 draft picks in the past 2 years on quarterbacks. Eason was taken in the 4th. I think Ehlinger was taking, I don't know for sure, but I want to say the 5th or the 6th. So they weren't like big picks, but you got a chance to see what you got. If there was ever a better time for someone to really show out and be the next Tom Brady, it's going to be now. Do I think that's going to happen? No.
Yeah.
But moving on really quick, over in Arizona, AJ Green was sidelined in camp on Wednesday due to an unknown injury, apparently coming into his leg. Coach Kingsbury has stated that he believes it is a minor injury and he'll be back pretty soon. Oof. Old man.
Fingers crossed, because he is one of my late round targets. You know, I've mentioned that. You know, dart throws, if you will. But this is kind of what AJ Green does.
Yeah, and at that later point in his career, these injuries just give me, you can't draft predicting injuries, in my opinion.
It's true.
But when it comes to guys this age that have had a history of, being banged up, the risk you want to take is just not there. And we'll have to see. I think it's going to be a quick thing, but I think this does shine a light on the fact that he's probably not going to be getting 15 games this year.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, he's going ADP at 158. So what, freaking
16
last round. So
moving on, we got Kenny Golladay over in New York.
Sad.
Was seen clutching his hamstring in practice on Tuesday. His hamstring did keep him out for some time last year.
Yep. His hip.
Yeah, and when he was asked about it, he said it wasn't anything serious, but he is going to be missing practice. Yeah. So is this more of Kenny Galladay's injury problems? We'll just have to wait and see. Someone that has been looking really good in camp, though, N'Keal Harry, after requesting that trade for New England, is apparently popping off for the Patriots. Looking really good in camp. Hopefully getting some tape together so that the Patriots can get some trade value for him, and he can be on his way.
Yeah, they're probably saying just throw the ball to N'Keal. I don't care what it is. Throw the ball to N'Keal so we can trade him and get something. Let's build up some news.
Ramsey run 75%, or not Ramsey, Gilmore. Make it look like he balled on you.
Yeah.
Andy Dalton still holding hope for the is actually still the quarterback one for the Chicago Bears and is looking to start week 1 at this point. I did see a video the other night of Andy Dalton talking to a reporter. It was nice.
I didn't see that. No, I thought you were talking about the dime that freaking Justin Fields threw in padded practice.
Oh no.
I was nice.
Watching a video. Ooh, I bet. No, there was a reporter talking to Dalton after practice on Tuesday when they were in front of fans. And he was sitting there and she asked him, how's it? What's your outlook on the season? Blah, blah, blah. And he's like, technically I'm still the quarterback one. And I'm just going to keep going with that forever. Blah, I've got to prove myself. These guys, trying to win, blah, blah, blah. But you get to see in his face that he's like,
it's going to be difficult.
This is the end of my career.
His career's
over. It's all
over.
Downhill from here.
Yeah.
It's
Red Rocket
6+ games and over. Moving on. Yeah, Julio Jones, another guy that's missed practice with an undisclosed injury.
Supposedly it was a lower leg injury.
Obviously going to want to pay attention to that. Missing a lot of time last year, especially during the practice. He does not practice in season on Tuesdays.
Well, when you're that good, you don't have to.
Just mentioning, we're going to see a lot of Julio Jones did not practice, especially on Tuesdays after games.
This happened on
past
Monday.
couple years.
The injury happened on Monday, missed Tuesday and today. So,
Matt Stafford did hit his thumb on a helmet earlier in the week, and was some room for concern. But apparently, he came back today and was practicing without limitations, looking pretty good.
Yep.
So anyone that was worried, don't be. The guy's still out there and it's got a cannon.
Yep. And MRIs were negative.
Oh, good. Love to see it negative. Someone else that needs to be seeing some negative, Lamar Jackson, after after being put on the COVID exempt list, is expected back this weekend. Like I said, hopefully getting those negative tests.
Yeah.
Test or the negative text saying that, hey man, you got to shack up for 2 weeks.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, we want to see negative tests.
Absolutely. So that's going to be the news for today. Mike, we do have a question for the day, and I'm going to ask you first. Have there been any players that have risen up your draft board since the start of training camp? And then have there been any that have slid?
Yes, there have. How about you?
Yes, yeah, of course. Now, who are the people that have jumped the most?
Jumped the most, Elijah Moore. Raves out of that, which I told you, I said it before the season. I think he's going to be one of the top 3 wide receivers, especially fantasy wise, out of this draft class.
Something I didn't know, he's actually was the number 2 receiver in college last year on only I think it was only 8 games.
Baller. He's a baller. So it's really what it comes down to.
I
dude's a monster. Yeah, dude's a monster. So yeah, Elijah Moore, definitely. Who is slid down my board? It's funny. Zach Wilson. So kind of a 1-2 there, but or contradiction, I guess. But I'm not too worried about it. I think they'll because we have him in the Scotty Fishbowl, whatever league, Zach Wilson. So I think he'll give you games or whatever, but I'm not drafting him later. I'm not taking a shot on him. Even in 2 quarterback leagues, I really don't want a part of it. And then another guy, I will say this, and John, this might be a shock to you. And it kind of has to do with his rising ADP. Talked about him today in the round 2 breakdown. It's Najee Harris.
There we go.
Najee Harris has slid down. He has slid down my draft boards.
Oh, down.
Yes, he has slid down my draft board. Yep. Yeah, I'm not going to be drafting him this year, especially his offensive line. His offensive line scares me. And you know what? I think he's a talented running back. Very talented. I think he's going to be a top 5 running back for future seasons for multiple years. But I don't trust this offensive line. And I don't think that he is really, that whole offense is kind of worrying me. I know he's been getting some good reviews and things like that in camp. But the offensive line has been worrying me. So he has slid down my draft board. I'm not touching him. And he's in the 2nd round now too. When he was in the 3rd, I felt comfortable with him.
He was a value there.
Exactly. But I'm not getting value. I'm not getting value at running back 14, 13 is where he's at. So that's why he has slid down my board.
Oh man.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
I still like him.
I love him. I love his future value. Love his future value.
I like him this year. I still think that he's got an opportunity. I think he's one of those guys that come into the league just like, I hate to be this guy, but comes into the league like Saquon, Zeke, Taylor last year, where he's handed a role that's obvious. He's one of the most talented guys coming in through his draft class. And as bad as we're worried about this offensive line being, I don't think it's going to be nearly as bad. They did spend a little bit of capital on their offensive line in the draft this year. And from what I've seen, the guy's a giant monster. He's been getting nothing but raving reviews. And a lot of their beat writers have been saying that they're actually surprised. They're not boasting about how good their offensive line is, but they're surprised with how decent they are. And so I think he's just going to be thriving off volume realistically. But we'll have to wait and see.
How about you?
Guys, honestly, my biggest riser, and you stole my man, but Elijah Moore has been the biggest one for me, and that's mainly because I was very, very far off the Elijah Moore train, and now I've actually been taking my time to try to acquire him in some dynasty leagues, because I do think that he's going to be in a great situation, especially this year soon, with as much raving reviews as he's getting throughout the practices. Someone that's actually taken a downturn for me. I'm sorry, one more person that's been getting a lot of hype that I've been really liking the reviews and what I've been hearing out of the stuff. And it's not just because I'm a Dolphins fan, but I'm actually really, really excited for Tua this year.
I like Tua.
The fact that all we hear is the fact that they're going to be opening up that deep passing for him. They're going to, last season we saw him with, I don't want to say limited playbook, but limited play calling, and routes that the receivers were actually running. With the receiving talent that they added this year along with it, I think he's going to be someone that's going to be taking shots. He's got a little bit more confidence under his belt, another year removed from his injury. I'm excited. I do think he's going to be great. And apparently from what we've been seeing in camp, he's looking good on the deep ball. It's not like he's getting demolished. So I'm excited. I think that he's someone that could finish as obviously a top 15 quarterback. I've put my money where my mouth is, and I put a bet out there that I have him as a top 12. But that was kind of an emotional bet just because I didn't like what the other guy was saying, and that was a fan-based bet. So we're not going to worry about it. But no, and then one of the guys that's taking the biggest hit for me, I don't know if this is, I want to say Saquon Barkley. I've been a huge hater of him this year, but it didn't start during camp, but it kind of just got even worse during camp, mainly from the fact that he's he's saying he's not going to be there for week 1. And then, man,
come on, give us somebody good.
I think Dak Prescott, actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, as great as
what about Lamar?
Well, Lamar was never really super hot on my board, and it's not camp that brought him down for me.
Yeah, he hasn't been to camp.
Yeah. Dak Prescott, on the other hand, it's not that I've seen anything bad from Dak. It's just that he's already had some issues with his shoulder. And it kind of just reminded me, like, oh, man, this guy isn't coming into the league as a immortal that's not going to get injured, not going to get up. That reality from him. And like I was saying earlier, you don't draft expecting injuries. You don't try to predict injuries. But I'm thinking maybe he's just – I'm not comfortable with him anymore. I think he might be getting a little overhyped because of what we saw in the beginning part of last season. And when you look at it, players that start off the season super hot don't generally trend to extrapolate that throughout the entire season.
Yeah. Dope. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, those are our risers and fallers since the start of training camp. Let's jump into our NFC South breakdown. It is our last divisional breakdown. So we're going to start with Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Tampa Bay? Okay.
Tampa Bay. Yeah, Lightning won. They won. The Rays were in the World Series. I mean, dubs all around. Dubs all around over there.
Wait, did the Rays win the World Series?
No, they were in the World Series, though, I think. Right?
Oh, okay. But
last year.
It.
Yeah, but close enough. It's a championship for them. It's close enough. So let's start with it. First guy, 7 rings, going for 8. Tom Brady, QB 11, ADP of 105. John, I'm loving this. I'm loving where he's going. I think it returns dividends. Probably originally I was off of the Tom train, but with all the weapons there, he's going to have AB for a full season. Gronk at the end of last season and into the playoffs and in the Super Bowl, looked like old Gronk. Obviously, we're not going to get that, week in and week out from Gronk, but it's another weapon. Of course, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin's some of the top receivers in the league. So I love Tom Brady. I think he returns on this QB 11. I love it. I'm taking him where I can get him.
I honestly think he's a huge value. Last season, he had 6 games where he actually finished as a QB 5 or better. And only had 2 weeks where he finished under a quarterback 30. Other than that, you're looking at generally someone who is getting a top 10 quarterback each week. And that's something you're going to be looking for, especially when you're drafting a late round quarterback, is just some sort of consistency with upside. And that comes in the fact of those talented receivers. The biggest question for the team for me is the fact that they do have these 3 guys. And when you're drafting a Tampa receiver right now, the ADPs are so shifted all over the place. Right now, Chris Godwin's going at wide receiver 18, Mike Evans, wide receiver 14. And then Antonio Brown, regardless of what his social life has been, talent is talent. He's getting drafted at wide receiver 41. And realistically, there's no reason for it. How do you feel about drafting any of these receivers? Is anyone making you feel comfortable? Is anyone a great grab for you?
So I like Mike Evans. I do. I think that he's going to sneak back into the top 12 wide receivers. I actually currently have him as my 12th wide receiver. Chris Godwin, I'm staying away. I think there's a little too much volatility there for me. But if there's anybody I'm quote unquote targeting, it's Antonio Brown. I mean, he had week 17. If you had him last year, maybe you played him in a championship, maybe you were in a week 17 championship last year. He finished as the 3rd wide receiver overall that week. And again, another guy that wasn't there all season, started to get a little bit of rhythm at the end of the year. Finished as the wide receiver 9 in week 15. So I think that he's a great value. But in regards to, so he's one of the guys I'm actively targeting. As for Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, I'll take Mike Evans. I will, depending on what's there, what I need, and things like that. He's a guy I would take, but I'm not actively going after. Chris Godwin, on the other hand, I'm just avoiding.
See, I think I'm on the other foot there. I'm actually avoiding Mike Evans this year, and part of that is just his touchdown dependency for his total points. We saw him last year be the 1 and 2 yard touchdown monster. And not to say that he's not that red zone threat, but again, I just think wide receiver 14 forms a lot. If I was going to grab either of them, I think it would be Godwin at wide receiver 18. And again, that's me expecting Evans to take a step down on his touchdown totals with Antonio Brown there as well. But I do really love the idea of grabbing Antonio Brown at wide receiver 41. He fills my flex spot or my wide receiver 3 spot. I'm doing great.
Yeah.
I mean, the full season with him and another year with him through an off season with Tom Brady, you're going to be getting great numbers. Now, Rob Gronkowski came in last season and was a surprising sneaky play on some weeks. O.J. Howard was someone who, before Gronk was coming to Tampa Bay, O.J. Howard was primed and ready to have a breakout season. Are Gronk currently going to tight end 18?
Yeah.
That's
a steal.
Ridiculous. That is an absolute steal.
I mean, he's one of my post-type sleepers. So last year he was drafted as a tight end 7 going into the league. He finishes a tight end 8. So technically he returned on the value, but it wasn't very fun. I know after I think he put up a goose egg in week 2. Yeah, it was goose egg in week 2. By then everybody was like, drop him. He's droppable, blah, 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 or at least don't rely on him. So I think that he is going to have a solid year. Tight end 18. I love it. Another guy I'm actively targeting. He had 21. Both him and Mike Evans both had 21 red zone targets last year. 11th and 12th in the league. So I think that his red zone efficiency is going to go up. He only caught 38% of those. So I do think that efficiency is going to go up a little bit, and he's still going to be a massive target there. So I love Gronk at tight end 18. I think the hype has kind of died around him. And guys, if you're listening to the show and you're drafting with me, let the hype keep dying down. I'll take Gronk.
I'm definitely taking him. There's no question about it. He's a value at this point. A tight end 18, that's ridiculous. I can't honestly fathom why it's that low. But hey, O.J. Howard on the other point, realistically, you're not drafting him, obviously.
I'm not drafting.
He's going at tight end 28. It's just outside. There's not 28 people in your leagues that are going to be drafting tight ends. ADP of 212, you're not grabbing him. But I will say this. I do think that he's going to find himself on a waiver wire episode, because last season before he got injured, he was putting up some big games. He did have a 12-point game, a 14-point game, which did put him as a tight end 1 for both those 2 weeks. And that was 50% of the games that he played that year. So I do think that he might be a little bit of a sneaky ad later in the season, but obviously do not draft him in any sort of redraft, dynasty, or anything like that at this point.
Dope. Let's move on to the Drew Brees-less New Orleans Saints. Not only did they lose Drew Brees, they also lost Emmanuel Sanders. There's a quarterback battle going on between Taysom Hill and
Taysom Winston.
And Jameis Winston. Obviously, we know that Mike Thomas is hurt, could be out up to 12. Well, actually, there's no timeline right now.
Absolutely none. It is a complete
which sucks.
Black hole.
But he's more than likely missing he's more than likely missing week 1 at least. So as for the quarterback battles, John, I mean, they keep switching off. You know, you hear a whisper, oh, Taysom is first team this day, and then Jameis is first team this day. Who do you think wins? I mean, who do you think wins the quarterback battle?
I was honestly a big believer that Jameis Winston had an obvious shot right into that quarterback starting position. But I do think with the fact that Michael Thomas went down, obviously your number one receiver, one of the better receivers in the league, could be out for a majority of the season, possibly. You might want to run with Taysom Hill. He brings a different dynamic to the team with his rushing ability and the fact that he can be he reminds me of Tebow in college. Like, he can run it up the middle. He can throw the ball pretty decently. He doesn't have the most speed, but he doesn't mind using his body. I think they go with Hill at least to start off, and it hurts because I think he really hurts the rest of the team by being the quarterback as far as fantasy goes. Like, I don't think that he brings any value to the receivers. I don't think he adds any extra value to Alvin Kamara or Latavius Murray. He actually hurts Latavius Murray exceptionally. I really hope Jameis Winston's the guy, though.
Yeah, don't we all? I mean, we saw what he did. He's very fantasy relevant when he's in. So if he is named the starter, I love grabbing Jameis Winston as a late round guy. He was actually on John's late round quarterbacks, even without Michael Thomas. I do think that he's a good enough quarterback. He can put up numbers. And that'll be beneficial to Alvin Kamara. I think, honestly, either way, whether Taysom Hill is there or not, and you have a top 4 pick, Kamara falls to you. I mean, who are you taking over, I guess, in the top 4?
Kamara?
Yeah.
In the top 4?
Dalvin Cook, with Derrick Henry, CMC.
With Taysom now? Taysom there?
Yes. So he's your fourth
yeah.
ranked. Okay.
With Jameis there, he's number 2 for me.
Okay.
Actually, maybe number three.
So ahead of Derrick Henry, I'm assuming.
Ahead of Dalvin Cook.
Ahead of Dalvin Cook?
Yes.
Wow. Okay. All right.
Yeah, the way I just did my first round video, and the way that I laid out that ADP, up until pick 5, completely agree with the ranking.
Wow.
I think that it's going to be CMC, Dalvin Cook. I think Derrick Henry's going to continue to be a monster, and then Alvin Kamara really makes up for it with that rushing.
Okay. All right. As for me, I mean, I love both of these guys. Alvin Kamara, if I'm in the top 4 and he's there, I'll probably take him at 4. I mean, it's Alvin Kamara,
You just don't like Derrick Henry because you traded him away.
No, I think he rushes well. I just don't think he finishes a top 4 or top 3 again. I think Alvin Kamara finishes ahead of him.
He could have 2,500 yards next year.
He could have 3,000. First 3,000. How about Latavius Murray? I mean, I kind of like him at RB41, ADP of 127. I kind of like this as a late. We talked about handcuffing, and he's
not a handcuff.
He is the quote unquote handcuff there, but he does have some standalone value.
Exactly. Realistically, I mean, like we were just saying, Michael Thomas is out. Traquan Smith was out of camp today, and apparently banged up, which kind of continues to let you know, like, oh crap, the Saints don't really have many receivers outside of Michael Thomas.
No.
Adam Troutman's there. Realistically, if that's the case, Traquan's out. There's no reason you can't line Alvin Kamara up as a receiver and let Latavius Murray get some value in there. And I think with Jameis Winston at quarterback, that's a very, very viable threat. Taysom Hill, you're going to see Latavius Murray riding the bench more than often. But even last season, you saw Latavius Murray getting work in almost every week. As a late round pick, I think you're going to be doing fine. And especially in the case that and that's why I don't want to call him a handcuff, but in the case that Alvin Kamara does go down and he gets handed that entire offense, even better. He's like you're saying, a standalone value with handcuff potential.
Boom. And you get him right after Gus Edwards, Tony Pollard. So I mean, kind of like where he's going. Michael Thomas, are you taking the shot on Michael Thomas right now? He's wide receiver 31, ADP of 67. That's pretty much the question going through people's heads. I'm in round 6. Do I take the shot on Michael Thomas?
Yes and no.
That's a great answer.
Yeah, I really think at 31, no. But I also think that a lot of people when you're drafting with 11 other people, more people are going to have that same mindset. It's not going to be, you're not drafting against the computer that's taking the next ADP value. There's a possibility Michael Thomas finds himself into the 4th round.
Right.
So if he falls, and that's very realistic, yes, I'm taking the shot. At his current ADP, though, no, absolutely not. And that ADP has already fallen with the news of his injury.
So you're not taking him in the 6th round?
I'm not, no.
Okay. Where would you take him?
If he falls, if he falls to like the 7th or 8th, and I've got my 3 wide receivers.
Okay. All right. I was just wondering.
It depends. Yeah, no, he's someone that I'm grabbing maybe the 7th, 8th. He's almost at the point already. His risk factor. We don't know how long he's going to be out. If I'm drafting tomorrow, I'm waiting. If I know how long he's going to be out, it's going to be a little more comfortable.
I think I draft him if I'm on the turn. I'm looking at it now. If I'm on the turn at pick 72 in the last pick of the 6th round, I'll take Michael Thomas there. By that point, you could have CMC, 2 running backs, a tight end, a top 3 tight end, 2 wide receivers, and then grab Michael Thomas as your 3rd wide receiver. I think you could do really well there. But I agree with you. I'm definitely not reaching for him.
No, there's no
at
reason
all
for it.
No. And then Traquan Smith, any value? I think his value comes if Jameis Winston is the quarterback.
I think he has value regardless. Maybe not the most value, but you're drafting at wide receiver 60. At that point, you're drafting shots, upside, what could be. I don't think he's an amazing receiver, honestly. I don't think he's going to be ever be a top 20 fantasy wide receiver, but you're drafting him as wide receiver 59 currently. And there's a realistic world where he is that wide receiver 1 for the Saints going into week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if he puts up that many decent weeks that get you by, it's worth it. You don't need a full season of excellence from him.
So some guys going around him, just to give you some perspective. Rondale Moore, Gabriel Davis right in front of him, Jalen Reagor, Nelson Aguilar, Emmanuel Sanders behind him, T.Y. Hilton's behind him. Anybody stick out to you over Traquan?
Again, with team comp, it comes in, but maybe no, I don't. Maybe Gabe Davis. Who is the above Gabe?
Don't have Rondale Moore.
Yeah, no, I'm taking maybe Gabe Davis if I'm feeling risky, but if I want someone that I know can fill in for possibly 2 weeks as a flex position,
go on Traquan.
Yeah.
Or something. Okay,
I like him.
And then Deontay Harris, Marquez Callaway. I mean, do they do anything? They've been getting a lot of buzz since Michael Thomas has gone down.
No, they're going to be more waiver wire ads. You're not drafting them, but they're names you're going to want to keep your mind on and pay attention to, especially in these preseason games on how that ball is getting distributed.
And then lastly, Adam Troutman, tight end 13, ADP of 131. I love this guy. No matter who the quarterback is, he's one of my guys. I think he's going to have a breakout season. I have him in almost every dynasty league. I drafted him last year. I think he's got a great future. And I think if Jameis Winston is the quarterback, I think he finds himself into the top 10 tight ends. If Taysom Hill is the quarterback, I think he's probably 13 or 12 is where he finishes. But I think he's going to have a good year tight end wise, I guess.
I was really hesitant to get on the train for Adam Troutman, but I'm still not far off, especially with the Michael Thomas news. At tight end 13, you're looking at someone who's going to be realistically, like we were saying when we got to the receivers, one of the top 2 receiving options on the team outside of Alvin Kamara. So you're looking at someone that's going to be getting an expected good value. And even with Taysom Hill there, I don't think you're looking at the worst situation. I mean, after his first couple games, he was starting to throw the ball 37 times, 38 times a game before Drew Brees came back. And yeah, he takes away the upside. But I think someone that's going to be such a big factor in that offense like Troutman and Kamara are going to be, that Taysom only takes away from the rushing upside. And Troutman's going to be getting his ball still.
Boom. Love it.
I'm grabbing him at 13.
Yeah, I'm glad I could sway you. Um, Carolina Panthers. Sam Darnold's new team. They lost Curtis Samuel, who had I would say a breakout year last year, kind of bursted onto the scene. And then Terrence Marshall, they drafted, getting some good news out of camps, saying that he's looking like the receiver they drafted him to be. Sam Darnold going quarterback 27, ADP of 191. Any interest there?
Yeah, interest if every quarterback that has any potential to be good after him is gone.
Okay.
No, staying away from Sam Darnold. He didn't have 1 week last year where he finished above quarterback 24. And regardless of the team that he's on, I don't think he's going to be fantasy relevant this year. Even in a 2-quarterback league, I'd rather search the waivers, stream something, unless I have no other option.
Yeah, I mean, with CMC back, I think he could have some fantasy relevance, but I don't think it's enough to really take a shot on. Looking at it now, Cam Newton's going behind him, and if it stays the way it is, and Cam Newton is wide receiver 1 or quarterback 1, give me Cam Newton before I take Darnold.
I'd rather draft Jameis Winston at quarterback 32.
There we go.
And Sam Darnold, and hope that, with the possibility that Jameis isn't the guy.
But I do think he is going to be a waiver wire target. He's not going to get drafted in your typical 1-quarterback leagues. So keep an eye out on him, see what he does, with CMC. I mean, that could really help him. I mean, he does have weapons. CMC, RB1, ADP 1. I'm taking him at 1.
You grab him.
I mean, end of story. Pat can run the ball, can pass catch. It's CMC.
Led the league in points per game last year. Led the league in points per game the year before that. He's an absolute stud. You can't just grab him and move on. Next pick.
Yes. Next pick. Hopefully, I was doing my round 2 breakdown. You could end up. Listen to this. You could end up with CMC, CEH, and either Darren Waller or George Kittle as you're starting. And then you could go back around and get CeeDee Lamb and Terry McLaurin in the 4th and 5th. I want the number 1 spot.
I'm sold. I'll take it. Give me the number 1 spot.
I want the number 1 spot. I've been saying it all year.
I avoid all my mocks drafting from the number 1 because I just assume I never get it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, why even waste my time? I'm not going to be in this situation. But no, That's great.
Yeah, I know. It's freaking A. It's perfect. If you could do that, game over.
Now, when we get over to the receivers, Robbie Anderson just came off an absolute spectacular year, one of the best of his career. DJ Moore obviously going a little bit before him. Do you see DJ as that wide receiver 1 in Carolina?
I think he is a wide receiver 1. I think he could have a solid season, but I think it's a little too risky, especially where he's going right now. There's guys around him that give me a little bit more safety as well as the upside. So Cooper Kupp's going right in front of him. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Adam Thielen going right after him. So give me Thielen for sure over DJ Moore. And then, I'd maybe a T. Higgins. If it comes down to Jamar Chase and DJ Moore, probably leaning DJ Moore. But still, okay. Adam Thielen's there. Give me Thielen all day.
I'm actually going to be avoiding both of these receivers, mainly on the fact that Darnold's going to be the quarterback. I think Teddy Bridgewater is a better quarterback than Darnold. And I think that just you're not going to be seeing 3 receivers going for 1,000 yards this year. Offense isn't going to be moving the ball enough, and you're not going to get a lot of offensive plays from this team, I believe, outside of when Christian McCaffrey balls out, and the upside is just so limited. Now, if I'm in a super deep league, I might grab Terrence Marshall. I like some hype. This guy's giving me enough hype. If he's being used out of the slot well, maybe he takes over like a Jamison Crowder role, and that's the best we can get from Sam Darnold. DJ Moore, though, I'm staying away from. Anderson, I think, is too hyped.
Yeah, I would have to agree. And then finally, do you like Dan Arnold? I mean, his agent kind of sold him. He's going as a tight end 32, ADP of 214, so he's not being drafted.
I'm not drafting. I might draft him. Depends how deep. How many picks do I get? You give me a deep draft, I'm grabbing him.
All right, if you got say
you give me a reason for a second tight end, I'm taking him.
Okay, you took George Kittle or Travis Kelce, Darren Waller. You just want one just in case. I mean, there's other guys around him that I'd rather have, but I mean, after that spiel his agent gave him,
ADP. I mean, ADP he was the number 3 receiver in Arizona last year.
Crazy. I mean, and they lack a tight end there in Carolina, so maybe he can be that guy.
Yeah, and he was talking about trying to take a step forward.
Yeah, tight end 32. Crazy. Late.
He's at 36 on Fantasy Pros. If he's fallen that far, I'll take a shot on him. Super happy with it. Let me grab him.
Keep an eye on him, though. I mean, if you don't, just keep an eye on him because could be a safety blanket. And then finally, we have got the Atlanta Falcons, finished last year in their division. Of course.
Helped them a lot.
Yeah, it did. They lost Julio Jones, but they drafted Kyle Pitts. They new coaching staff, blah, blah, blah. Matt Ryan, QB 17, ADP of 139. Are you doing anything with him? Are you taking him? I'm
actually not staying away from him. He's one of those guys where I'm not reaching. He's finished as a top 12 quarterback 90% of his career. He hasn't slowed down too much. He gets the ball out a lot. You don't have that rushing upside, but the amount of volume that he brings. And I don't think the fact that Julio's gone is going to take too much away from that. I think he's still going to be moving the ball downfield a lot. Last season, without Julio there for 9 games, he still threw for 4,500 yards.
Yeah,
I'll take him.
Yeah, I mean, he finished as a top 12 quarterback 8 times last year. So I mean, he's consistent.
Yes. Agreed.
And so I mean, I think especially in 2 quarterback leagues, I would love to have Matt Ryan as my second quarterback.
Oh, you're thriving at that point.
And if I'm wanting to do a later quarterback, I mean, he's a target. He's a target you could have and rely on, you know. So Mike Davis, probably maybe one of the biggest question marks in regards to starting running backs in the league, outside of the Texans running back and everything. Had some very solid weeks filling in for Christian McCaffrey last year, but wasn't the most consistent. And now he gets, the backfield to himself. Had a little bit of a lull, like in the middle of his takeover, but did boom onto the scene. I will say that he boomed like crazy. Are you taking Mike Davis? I mean, at running back 22.
If I'm doing some sort of late round running back strategy, then I'll grab him because I do think that at least in the beginning of the season, he gives you some sort of security. They're obviously rolling with him this far. We all expect them to sign someone, trade for someone, get another name in that roster. But they haven't. And he's been continuing to roll out in that running back and the first team in practice. And you got to give it to him. I mean, last season he was doing fairly well. He had 5 weeks finishing above a running back 1. And then, he took a couple hits, but down games are down games. You're grabbing him late. He gives you a little bit of security. And then you trade him off halfway through the season after a big boom game. Yeah,
I would agree with that. I think I do agree there. I think he is a candidate where he's going to have a hot start to the season. Trade him after that. See what you can get him. Sell him high and watch him crash and burn. No, not really. But I sell him high, because I do. I think he's going to have a hot start to the season. Quadre Allison is running with the second team and the first team every once in a while. So it's looking like Javian Hawkins is going to be that third back on the roster. So Quadre is going to be the second behind Mike Davis. Both of them going pretty close together. I mean, RB 64 for Allison and RB 69 for Davis. Both of them pretty much going undrafted at ADP of 213 and 215 or so. That doesn't make any sense. But round 18, pretty much.
No, both of them undrafted. Don't touch them. See how they go. If in preseason we see Cadre or Javian coming in there and blowing, balling out and just making us all have our jaws drop, then go spend that pick on him, But until then, no. Cadre's only had 23 total attempts throughout his career. That's you're dealing with people that don't need to be drafted.
If you're in a dynasty league, any format, and you haven't done your rookie draft yet, take Javian as a last round pick. Just in case. Yeah, it's worth it. So, and then Calvin Ridley and Russell Gage. Calvin Ridley, wide receiver 4, ADP of 14, and Russell Gage, wide receiver 51, ADP of 105. Do you like where Calvin Ridley's going?
I like it for him. I think it's a great ego boost. I think it looks really good, but no, I'm kind of actually scared. I know he was doing very, very well with Julio gone last season. I think he was actually averaging 14.3 points per game with Julio out, while averaging 13 point something with him in. I don't have the numbers in front of me. But I do think that he's a high end and very secure. He's safe. I just don't think I'm going to be taking the shot on him because he's going as that, like you're saying, wide receiver 4. Obviously, that option's high volume, but I just don't know if I can trust him to get the touchdowns. Julio always struggled in that situation, and even with the receptions he got last season on only 15 games, I'd rather grab someone else. There's other high-end receivers that'll do just as well.
Yeah, here's my take on it, and I talked about it in the round 2 breakdown. I'll just go over it real quick. If you want more of an in-depth dive on Calvin Ridley, go watch that video. But there's only one guy I would take behind him, and that's DeAndre Hopkins. If you want to go wide receiver in that round, if you already took your quarterback, maybe you're going late round running back or something like that, I think Calvin Ridley is a very safe bet to take where he's going. Last year he had 7 red zone touchdowns. And with the addition of Kyle Pitts, I do think we see a little bit of a regression in that category. So that's my only worry for Calvin Ridley. Now, Russell Gage, he had over 100 targets last year.
Yeah, like we were saying, Julio missed a lot of games last year. Calvin Ridley missed his game, as well as starting a game and then ending up missing it after just a couple plays. Russell Gage might fill in very, very well here. I just don't know. I think that with Kyle Pitts there, it takes the top off for Russell Gage. Russell Gage was filling in as that wide receiver 2 role a lot more often than we were used to. You might want to grab him if he falls. Maybe other people aren't taking him, but I'm not grabbing him wide receiver 51.
I don't mind grabbing him here at wide receiver 51. Looking at the guys around him, they're all kind of shot in the dark guys. Darnell Mooney, Michael Pittman, Devontae Parker, Corey Davis. Corey Davis and Devontae Parker are really the only 2 there that have put up seasons before. But
Corey Davis
they're
injured.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is they're both already banged up. And we just saw it from Russell Gage, and he's going to be in an offense that's heavily like passing. So if I'm going wide receiver around that area, I kind of like taking Russell Gage there. I will say that. I think that he is going to get his fair share. So it's a later round guy. So it's more than likely going to be like your wide receiver 3 or wide receiver 4 or 5. And if Kyle Pitts doesn't turn out to be the guy that we think he is this year, maybe, Russell Gage does have a better year than expected.
Russell Gage or Elijah Moore?
Russell Gage.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
I feel like the rest of them are going to be null and void now. Russell Gage or AJ Green?
Russell Gage.
Okay. So we're on 2 different planes.
All right. And then, of course, everybody, this is the only reason why you listen to the show. So we talk Kyle Pitts, tight end 4. He jumped. It must have been our last video where we talked Kyle Pitts or Mark Andrews, because now all of a sudden, Mark Andrews is going behind Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts is currently the tight end 4, ADP of 46. Getting up there.
Taking him.
Yeah.
I'll take Kyle Pitts over my first receiver at that point.
Wow. All right. I mean, I'm kind of thinking he's getting a little bit too high for 4th round. If I'm drafting a tight end in the 4th round, I'm taking somebody in the 3rd round. I'm taking George Kittle or Darren Waller. Safer. And because you can get CeeDee Lamb or Terry McLaurin in the 4th round, and I'd rather give up my receiver or whatever in the 3rd round, or 2nd round than I would, in that 4th for somebody. And I'm on the Kyle Pitts hype train. I think he's going to see over 100 targets.
It doesn't sound like you are. I think
I was
120, 130.
Okay, you're crazy. When he was,
we'll see.
When he was a little bit lower ADP going in the 5th and 6th round, I liked him there. Getting into that 4th round is kind of getting a little too rich for my blood. But I will say this, I am definitely going to own him in a few redraft leagues. So, I do multiple. So I want a share. I already have a share. I have him in the auction league.
Oh, there you go.
There we go. There's my share. Sorry, you're breaking up.
So do you want to trade for him or something? We can figure something out.
Okay.
I kind of like him. No, I'm actually hugely on the Kyle Pitts train. A lot of that coming with the fact that you're seeing Matt Ryan throw the ball 600 times a year. He's going to be throwing those somewhere, and Kyle Pitts is already coming into that team as the number 2 wide receiver. He's not coming in as the first, the high value draft pick tight end we just picked. He's coming in as the number 2 receiver for the team. He's going to be getting well over 100 targets this year. I think it's inevitable. You've already seen,
Kyle Pitts,
Matt Ryan,
overall fantasy player number 1.
No,
in John's book.
No. I do still like him in the 4th round, end of the 3rd. He's kind of right there at the turn right now at 46. Like I say, he's at 46. You're right there at the end of the 3rd. So you're drafting right on the turn. I'll take him. Or he's following you in the 4th. I'll take him again. I think he's going to be a baller. I don't know what everyone's expectations for him to reach the hype that he's had around him. But I do think that tight end 4 for him is very safe. I don't think he's going to outdo Kelsey, but I do think there's a possibility he could finish as tight end 2 with the amount of volume he could see from Matt Ryan. If he's as good as we say, if he's as good as he looks. And I think he's going to be.
All right, there we go. And then probably, honestly, one of the most slept on tight ends, I think, in general this year is Hayden Hurst. And that's obviously because Kyle Pitts has been drafted. But Hayden Hurst didn't have a bad year last year. And like we've been saying, I think, that Pitts is going to take that Julio role where he's going to see 100 targets, not the Julio of in his prime, but the wide receiver 2 behind Calvin Ridley, Julio, where he sees over 100 targets. But Hayden Hurst still thrives. Hayden Hurst still had a solid year and currently going tight end 30. He's not just going to be gone and forgotten, in that offense. He's not just going to go to nothing. So I kind of like Hayden Hurst as a late round grab, my last round. If you drafted a high end tight end other than Kyle Pitts, maybe grab Hayden Hurst. That's my take on it. Or if you want to stream your tight ends, Hayden Hurst, I think, is going to be a streaming option.
Yeah, I agree. He had 9 weeks last year where he finished as a tight end 1.
Yeah.
That alone, he's maybe not the most secure. And like I was saying when we were talking about Pitts, I think Pitts is coming into this team, yes, labeled a tight end, but I think he's going to be playing more as a receiver. And that's what he was doing in college, was that receiving tight end. He's not the biggest guy. He's not giant. He's not going to be the best blocking tight end. He's kind of skinny. But
he's got the longest wingspan ever.
Yes, exactly. He's a monster. But I do think that Hayden Hurst finds himself in a very nice role, and he's someone that you can stream on good matchups, maybe grab early with the waiver pickup and see how that team's rolling with him. I like Hayden Hurst, or in 2 tight end leagues. hopefully you're not doing.
He finished as a tight end 9 last year. I'm still all over him. I mean, I think there is a real possibility that 2 Atlanta tight ends finish in the top 12.
Yeah, one of them could finish number 2.
Yes, sir. Sure. We'll go with that. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that is it. That is our NFC South breakdown. We really appreciate it. We really appreciate all the support. Don't forget to subscribe, like this video, and hit that little bell. Also, if you're listening via podcast, if you could leave a rate and also review the podcast, we'd really appreciate it. Don't forget to comment down below. And also, just to reiterate, Listener League is going to be opening soon. It is going to be a raffle style. The one stipulation is you have to be subscribed to the YouTube channel. Outside of that, you can get a second raffle if you join our Discord channel. And that link will be in the description, whether you're listening to the podcast or on YouTube. Guys, it was fun. I'm excited. I mean, this is our last breakdown. We've got the round by rounds coming out.
We've finished the league. We've gone through literally every fantasy relevant player and given you at least a little bit of a breakdown on what we think these players can do this season, and where we can expect them to be. And like Mike was just saying, make sure you guys are tuning in on YouTube for those round by round breakdowns, because as drafts are getting ready to happen, make sure you know, hey, I'm in the 3rd round. Need to be picking someone. A lot of people know who you're grabbing with your first pick, but you need to have a plan moving on. So make sure you guys are tuning in for those. Mike's video will be coming out tomorrow, and round 3 coming out shortly after that. So keep up with it.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. We love you.